So Lee, tell us about Lee Allinson growing up. Favorite? Who was your favorite team when you were growing up?
Yeah, I mean it was a strange one because obviously with Dad playing for who he played for, majority of people would think I'm Arsenal, but I'm actually not. I'm Man United. Um, I used to support. I was very close to my auntie. She used to be like my childminder as a kid. So my cousin was a Man United fan. He was older than me, and I just kind of followed what he'd done. So for me, it's Man United. Do I take a massive interest in it now? Probably not. I'm probably more of a non-league fan, but I still follow their results and how they get on. And if they're on TV, I'll watch parts of the game. But as I say, I'm not mad for Premier League football now. I think it's very commercialised, and I prefer the nitty gritty of non-league football and League Two and League One, to be honest.
So your dad was a winger. What was your favourite position? So, like as a boy growing up, did you change positions as you grew up and things like
Yeah,
that?
yeah, very much so. I mean, I started as a centre forward. I was a centre forward till I was sort of 17, 18. I come through at Watford as a schoolboy. Played there for years, and was very, very gifted in front of goals. But probably my downfall was probably I was very, very lazy in terms of playing football, and I'd play it all day long. But in terms of having to go away and work hard, I probably didn't do that as much. And Dad was always on me about you have to be that step ahead of everyone. I probably didn't do it looking back, and it's a big regret of mine because talent wise, I probably had all the talent in the world. But where my dad was a very, very hard working winger, very quick, probably didn't have and I don't mean this badly, but he probably didn't have the ability that I had. I probably took after my uncle in that area. But he worked extremely hard, and that's probably where I lacked in the end. And it probably wasn't until sort of 25, 26, 27 that I realised that actually you've got to work quite hard in this game if you want to go anywhere. And that, as I say, is probably a regret of mine. But maybe it's what made me what I am today, and makes me work hard at the other side of the game now in terms of the managing.
So when your dad was playing for Arsenal, obviously he was a big name at the time. How old were you? I take it you were in school at some point.
I was very young. I mean, I was born in '84, and I think he left in '87. So I was 3 when he left there, and then obviously Luton. I think he done a little bit of Stoke and a few other clubs as well. So I probably don't remember loads of it, if I'm honest. I probably remember, and this is probably why I was so obsessed with managing, because I grew up in a changing room from 1990. Literally from when he first ever took his job at Baldock Town. I've been to probably, I'd say 90% of his games, and that's from Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays, all the way through from sort of 7, 8 years of age, all the way through to where I am now. I lived, breathed, and watched him being a manager, and that's what I love. So I probably missed that part of when he was a player. And as I say, it's crazy. Majority of people, when you ask them what they want to be, footballers, they want to be a football player. Mine was always to be a manager, and it's really strange. And whether that's because I was obviously watching him from such an early age, it must have been. So I wasn't fortunate enough to see what he'd done. I obviously watched lots of videos, and to be fair, he's very humbled in his approach with what he'd done in his career. He very rarely talks about it. I mean, I think he was on last week on Match of the Day Plus. There was one of his games on, and from what I've seen, he was a really good player, and he worked extremely hard to get where he got. So, but for me, it's always been the managing side.
And did he have much influence on you with your decision to become more of a manager than a player?
Very much so. I mean, I loved playing. I really did. I'd play for free, because I loved playing football, and I loved it when I played for my dad. He's a fantastic manager, and I really enjoyed my time with Chris Nunn at Biggleswade and a couple of other managers that I've worked under. But as I say, for me, it was always making that step into coaching and then into management. And my body my body probably packed up on me, and I think this is where you come about taking care of your body and looking after yourself from an early age and working hard. And as I say, I didn't really stop doing that till 27, 28, and I played through my last season with a number of injuries, and I probably burnt my body out. And you know, I think my time at Biggleswade had come to an end, and you know, I was looking maybe just to step down a league to continue playing. And Chris Nunn offered me the opportunity to go in as assistant manager, and I actually, to be honest, it was a great opportunity and something I'd always been really looking to do. But at the same time, I really struggled mentally for the first sort of 3 or 4 months to adjust from actually you're not a player anymore, you're now an assistant manager. And by that time, Dad was also out of work by then, so his time at Bournemouth had come to an end, and what a fantastic job he done there. And then I started to really like and enjoy the role as the assistant manager of Biggleswade, and obviously then got the job at St Albans. And I don't know whether, you know, I think Dad's always seen me as a little bit of a joker, because when I played for him, I was a good laugh and a joke in a changing room. And, you know, I think he'd just seen something in me that maybe I'd grown up a little bit, and it gave me that opportunity to come in at St Albans, and I took it with both hands. You know, it was a fantastic 2.5 years for me. I learned so much, and you know, working with really good players, and you know, I love that time, and I just felt obviously the time was right then to step into management.
Did you feel when you were working with Dad, did you feel any resentment amongst other the players that could have been there because of a bit of nepotism, because you know, Dad was Dad and he was the manager, and you were then brought in son of Dad? Did you feel that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think a lot of people would think that, you know, especially, I mean, when I was a player, it was a nightmare, because what everyone failed to realise was Dad was my biggest critic. And you know, there was occasions where I'd be playing very well and he'd take me off because I feel like it was the easy option, and, you know, he'd left me out the squad. And I mean, even one day we was playing for Boreham Wood, and it was the year we got promoted, and he said to me and another lad, you know, Lee, you can't play away from home, and the other guy, you can't play at home games. So he just kind of made his life a little bit easier. But I always felt that I was really hard done by with Dad at times, because, as I say, I think not when we was at Stotfold together, because I had a phenomenal season that year, but when we went to Boreham Wood especially, I think that at times I was very much the easy option. I think he was quite hard on me at times. And at the same time, I probably didn't leave. My lifestyle wasn't great. Again, if I go back now, I would change a lot of things. But when I went in as assistant manager, I think I was quite fortunate that a lot of the players, Sam Corcoran, I mean, it's funny because me and Sam hated each other. I got sent off against him 6 months earlier. So, you know, walking into that change room with the Lee Chappells and people like that was always going to be tough. But I think there was a little bit of a respect there, because I had played against the majority of them. You know, as I say, technically, I'm very lucky that I'm able to do a little bit with football. So I think it always helps as an assistant manager that if you can join in with the players and show them actually you can play a little bit, and I think there becomes a respect there quite quickly. So I was really fortunate, and we turned the team around really well. And so I think I'm lucky that the players respected me quite quickly. As I said, I had no issues with any of them. They were all really good. So from that side of it, I think, you know, if he'd have brought me in as a player, there might have been a different view. But I think bringing me in, probably having that 3 or 4 months at Biggleswade also helped, that people have seen that I've come from assistant manager somewhere else. So I wasn't just stepping in it because Dad gave me that opportunity. And again, with Dad, he's a very funny one, you know. I had to fight tooth and nail. I've literally had to have an interview with him to get the job. It was crazy. You know, I knew I was ready and ready to step in, but I think he was still unsure and, you know, didn't know if I was going to be ready. And, you know, as I say, when I got the opportunity, I took it with both hands.
Were you living at home at that point?
No, I wasn't. No, I was not living at home at that point, which was probably a bonus.
Just as well.
But,
yeah.
You know, I mean, I was very lucky in terms of me and Dad think very, very similar. And I think where Dad's got a little bit older now as well, he sort of took the reins off me and allowed me to go and be me. And I was in control of a lot of the stuff in terms of bringing in players. We talk about who we want to get, and then I'd go and get them, and, you know, things like that, which worked really well for the pair of us, because my job was football and his job was not football at the time. He was just a manager on a part-time basis. But because of my coaching academy and things like that, I could sort of become full-time in that term. of going to get what we needed and doing our research on other teams. And that. So, you know, I don't believe we had one argument while I was assistant manager there, and that for my dad is quite special, I believe, because, you know, he's very hard. He knows what he wants, and not once did we clash. You know, if I wanted to make a sub, he'd agree with it. If he wanted to make a sub, I'd agree with it. And as I said, I learned so much in them 2.5 years. I really did.
Was there a time when the feeling just came that now is the time to not be a number two, the time had now arrived to be number one?
I think from about 21. But no, listen, if nothing would have come up, I'd happily still be Dad's assistant manager at St Albans now. That's how much I enjoyed the role. You know, I didn't feel like an assistant manager there. I really didn't. I felt like we'd done it together. You know, and where Dad's very good, because he's been around it so much, he took a lot of the pressure off, and it was a great time. But I always said that my number one goal was to be a manager, and you know, when the phone call come from Biggleswade, you know, it was very emotional, I have to be honest, because I loved it so much. I keep going back to it. I really did enjoy my time with Dad. So, you know, I think I was in floods of tears when the call come and offered me the job, and it wasn't floods of tears of joy. It was sadness that I had to move on. And, you know, I remember the phone call to Dad. It was just before the Bath game. The phone call come on the Friday. We had Bath to get in the playoffs on the Saturday. I rang him. It was a very emotional phone call. He told me I had to go. I had to do it. It's probably his way of getting rid of me. But you know, he said that you know, I have to go and take the job and take the opportunity. And then we remember I think we drew or got beat at Bath, and God, I've never been so emotional. You know, I had to. You know, Dad went to talk first to the players about me going. I think he broke down, and then I went to talk, and I broke down. And you know, nice thing was I even turned around and there was a couple of players even in, you know, with a few tears. So I think that was a kind of build, and I'm very much in building relationship with players. I think that's the way forward. And, you know, for me, it was such an emotional time, but it was the right decision at the right time. And, you know, very early on, I knew that this is what I wanted to do.
Did managing at Biggleswade initially, was that different to what you thought it would be? Because this was obviously the first time you were out on your own.
No, I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Was I probably a little bit too ambitious for Biggleswade, even from right at the start? Probably. You know, I will never, you know, whether there was bad blood in the end or not, you know, I'll never say a bad word about Maurice Dorrington, because the one thing Maurice done, he gave me my opportunity to manage a football club, and that's all I ever wanted from day one. So, you know, the one thing that we have to remember with Biggleswade, Chris Nunn done such a good job from where they were sort of 10 years ago to where they are today. And then I think it was an opportunity where I was probably just that little bit too ambitious for the club in the end, and I really wanted to kick on, and I'm not sure they could have, you know, and let's be honest, you know, if they were to go up, they go into the Conference North. Financially, it really isn't doable for a football club the size of Biggleswade. You know, I always cast my mind back to last year when we had an opportunity of jumping in the playoffs on a Tuesday night at home to Leiston, and there was probably 75 people watching the game, and it was always going to be really tough, but it gave me that platform and it gave me that chance to go and manage, probably only under my own pressure. You know, that was the one bonus. You know, as a chairman, he was brilliant. There was never any pressure. If you lose a game, you could lose 5 in a row. You were never ever under any pressure at the football club. And I think that, you know, the only pressure was the pressure I put on myself. So that side of it was very, very good. But as I say, I think at times as well, you still need that little push, and you still need that drive and that desire that, you know, you want the club to go forward. And I just feel that the club just couldn't match sort of my ambition in the end. And that was all it was, really. You know, we were in a great position when I left the club, but I felt like it was only going to go one way. And that wasn't all the way down, but it was just a plateau into sort of mid-table.
So before we start talking about Hendon, aside from your management role, system management role with your dad, there's the Lee Allinson Football Academy. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously when I met Faye, Luca at the time was about to be released from Stevenage, and I already had an academy that just trained on Friday nights. There was no kind of teams there. and I wanted something for Luca to get into. So we decided that we'd scrap the academy side of it, of just training, because we were going into competition with the likes of Stevenage. It's very hard when you're going against a pro club, and let's start some teams up. And the first year we had an under-15 team and an under-7s team, and it literally just grown from there. And you know, I think we're up to sort of 14 teams now, from under-6s all the way up to under-17s. It's fantastic. It's very challenging at times. It's hard to keep everybody happy, you know, but it's a fantastic thing. I love watching kids play football. I love them enjoying themselves. I love them playing with a smile on their face. And if we can give them extra coaching and make them better, then that's what I want to do, you know. And it's something that I never thought would grow so big. Of course, it's challenging. You know, we've got a lot of competition in our area now. But we're just enjoying it. And the one thing I've always said, you know, I started with 2 teams. So, you know, if it was to go wrong, you know, it is what it is. You know, I've always been really open to that. And I just want people to enjoy themselves. I don't want people unhappy. Come and play, enjoy it. If you don't, there's no issue. But the one thing we can do is give them good coaching, get them into good opportunities, and hope that they come out of there when they're older and go, do you know what, I really enjoyed what I used to do when I played football at the Allinson Football Academy. That's all I want, you know. And if we can give them that guidance and help them along the way, then that's job done for me.
So you mentioned Faye there for the first time. Talk to us about her and the influence that she has on you, and also personally, and also as far as football's concerned.
I think personally for me, she's unbelievable, if I'm honest. You know, I've made no secret that, you know, I do struggle at times with a mad head, like a lot of people. You know, I do struggle with you know, falling down at times, and she's always there for me. You know, she's a massive strength. And you know, I do recall going back to the Harrow game when we got beat at Boxing Day. I was in a real low place after that game, because I felt that we brought in all our players and we wanted it to click, and it wasn't quite clicking. And the one thing she's really good at is snapping me out of moods and snapping me back into reality and concentrating on the next one. And she's fantastic for me like that. She's a real rock, and she lives and breathes it herself. You know, we come home on a Saturday after a game and she literally sits on the sofa and falls asleep, because she lives and breathes it. And she's just brilliant. You know, she gives me that push that I need at times. You know, I can sometimes sit back and watch things go past me, and you know, she's always there to make sure we're on it and we're ready to go and work hard. And she's brilliant for my own personal football club. She gets it organised, she gets it ready. The one thing with me, I'm very unorganised unless it's something to do with football and being out on the football pitch. You know, that's who I am. You know, I do, as I say, I've made no secret of suffering with ADHD and OCD. So for me, with ADHD, you concentrate on the one thing that makes you happy, and that's my football. So the rest of it in the background is quite tough for me to do, but that's where she comes in, and she's brilliant, and she really is a rock and a fantastic support for me. And without her, trust me, I wouldn't have the football club that I've got today. I don't even know if I'd be managing to the level I'm managing now, because the one thing she does is give me a huge belief in myself that I probably did lack as a player.
So when the opportunity came to join Hendon in November, what was Faye's view on that? Was she, go on, it's the right job at the right time? What was her thoughts? What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, for her, I remember speaking to Simon and having a big smile on my face, and she said, and previously I'd had no secret, I'd had a couple of interviews for 2 very big clubs, and you know, both times I just missed out. And you know, I come off the phone and I was smiling, and she said, "What do you think?" I said, "I'm not sure." She said, "It's the first time I've seen you smile after any interview." And that stuck in my head a little bit, and I thought, I wonder why that was. You know, it's Hendon, they're second from bottom at the moment, but something did feel right, and it was a really strange one. You know, and she sat there and we went through a few things, and we went over and over and over. And then I started to think, you know what, this actually could be the right move. And just looking at the size of Hendon as a football club, you know, she felt it was time that we moved from Biggleswade. She felt that I couldn't take them much further, and I agreed. And you know, after a number of conversations with people to explain what a big club Hendon is, that if you can get them out the not, I wouldn't say mess, but the position they're at the moment, then you've got a very, very good football club on your hands. And so after, again, number of conversations with Simon, I felt it was the right decision to take the job.
Did you feel that when you went to see Hendon for your first game, not when you were in charge, because Scott McLeish took the team and we were walloped 4-0 at Farnborough? Do you still think that was the right decision at the time?
I remember getting on the phone to my dad and saying, "What have I done?" I got in the car about 11:15 on the way home from Farnborough. And you do worry, of course you do. You know, I as I say, I went to Simon with a list of players that I wanted to get. Looking back now, you know, we probably didn't know we'd have any chance of getting them players. Luckily enough, in the end, we did. But, you know, I'm thinking to myself, oh, we'll get them easy. And it actually wasn't as easy as I thought. So, you know, we were very lucky. You know, it was, I feel that the club that were the side at the time wasn't good enough. I think that with results. I go back and maybe the side we picked on the night at Farnborough, we probably could have made a couple of changes in bringing in Luke Tingy and Rom. But it was a bad performance, and you know, I did look at it and think, "Oh, we really have got our work cut out here."
But then on the Saturday came your first game in charge, which was Beaconsfield. At the time, that was a real relegation 6-pointer. But by that point, you brought Isaac Galliford in from Hemel, and you immediately endeared yourself to the Hendon fans because Dave Deju came in for the first of 2 games from St Albans, and we won. So you made a flying start as manager of Hendon.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the highlights. Obviously, we've got quite a lot of time on our hands, so I've been watching highlights at the moment. And I watched the highlights the other night, and you know, I thought we were absolutely brilliant on the day. You know, we started the game really well, and then obviously we had the sending off. But I worked tirelessly on the Thursday and Friday to try and bring in a couple of players, and obviously Isaac was one of them. Which was a marquee signing. If you look at what he done at Hitchin last year, gets an England C call up, goes to Hemel, not quite worked out, and he chose to come to us over a 2 or 3 sides was just a brilliant signing for us. So I knew that would really liven us up. Obviously, I pulled Sam Corcoran, and I really rate Sam. He needs a good pre-season under his belt. If we get that in him, he's a very good player, Sam. And he come out for 1 game. And obviously, Big Dave, it was the first time I ever worked with David. I know how much Dad rates him and thinks really highly of him. And I can only say what an incredible man he is. He really is. You know, he come up that day and I thought it was fantastic. He put his body and neck on the line when he really didn't have to for us. And you look back now and you just think sometimes things are meant to happen. You know, we lose Cam English after 20 minutes. We get absolutely battered second half. We don't get out of a half. We concede, go 1-0 down. And, you know, I'm thinking that's probably us done. And Tom Hamlin, who I must go on record and say for the time that he was with us, he was a great lad. He really helped me with the first 3 or 4 weeks at a football club. He sticks one away and then we catch a breakaway and Isaac, you know, goes through and the keeper makes a mistake and scores. And it was just, you know, what a great first game to be involved in. And for me, I look back now, it was such an important game because we went to Swindon and Tiverton after that. So I knew what was coming. So to get 3 points that day was a really, really important win.
I know November was a bit of a struggle. It was, as you said, the beginning of the massive changes in the team. And by the time we hit the turn of the year, other than Luke Tingy, there was nobody left from the squad that you inherited. Yeah,
I mean, you know, we made lots of changes. I felt the changes were needed. You know, I didn't feel that we were walking into a side that had a number of good players because I don't think that we were in a great position. You know, I think 1 or 2 players had big opinions and it wasn't very warranted at the time because we were second from bottom in the league. And I felt like it just needed a real big change and we needed to find some energy. Again, go on record to say that I thought Serge was outstanding for the time that he was with us. And, you know, we might see Serge again. We'll see how his work pans out. But he was brilliant for that period. And then we got Sean Lucian and Shawnee, you know, again, I thought that to take that brave move because I know how much he enjoyed it at Bill's way to come in before anyone else had come in was a real big signing for us. And then sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, because with Sean, he'd had an unsuccessful first go with us, so that was a brave move almost for him to come back.
Yeah, it really was, and not to. Yeah, I remember the Swindon game when we played, and we actually wasn't that bad that day. It was a very tough game. I thought they were a good solid side. We wasn't great, but we done an okay job. And I remember looking at Sean in the bar and actually face saying to me, "Lee, he looks really down." And I went and spoke to him. I said, "Sean, just please trust me that this will get better and we'll be fine." And he went, "No, I know we will. I know." And from there on, I thought Sean Lucien, up until 3 weeks ago, was a fantastic player for the football club. And then it was really a scenario where we wanted to try and get something done with Biggleswade and talk to them about bringing some players over. We managed to get that deal done. And as I said to you, I knew what we were bringing in. Sambu, I don't think people have seen the best of Sambu, but that is a very, very good player. Tommy Smith come in was exceptional. Lucas Perry was just getting better and better every week. Kieran Forbes, again, they helped us Biggleswade, because Kieran was meant to come in a week later than the Tiverton game, but Kieran come in, took him 2 or 3 weeks to get fit. He'd been out since the second game of the season, and again, he'd gone from strength to strength. And then it was obviously a case of speaking to one or two other sides. We brought Luca in as well. I think you've seen the best of Luca towards the end again, and disappointed the season and finished. And then speaking to Dad, obviously we got Joe Howe and Tommy Brewer in, and I thought both of them were the experience that we needed. I thought Tommy he's great. He's great in the change room. I give him the armband and made Kieran Forbes a club captain. Joe Howe, I just thought added that little bit of calmness and experience to the side. And I felt that we were just missing one thing, and that was Joe White. And, we thought we'd be able to get the deal done quicker, but because it was a season-long loan to Biggleswade, it wasn't the case, that we'd had to wait till sort of the second week in January. So that for me was really the key signing to everything. I felt that, obviously, I didn't even mention him, getting Eddie Ashodi out of retirement was again another huge signing for the football club, because you've seen what he done. And it kind of just, as I say, we got past that. I think the Harrow game was a very, very good game to bring us all back down to earth and go, actually, you've got to work hard to start getting some results. And I thought at Cheshire we did work extremely hard and had the chances, but we played a very good team on a day that punished us when they had their chances. And then we went away from there and we worked extremely hard, and there, it clicked. And once it clicked, I knew that we had a very good team on our hands.
So we went on a great winning run. What was your favourite game of last season?
I thought I really enjoyed the Dorchester game. And the reason why I enjoyed that was because that and the Taunton game. And the reason why is I think the Dorchester game just showed me that we were so much better than what was in the bottom 3, 4, 5. And it sort of gave me a little bit of a peace of mind that, yeah, we're now a good side. And the Taunton game, to have that many players out, I go back to, we changed formation, and although we drew that game, I thought we were absolutely superb on the night. I think, selfishly, obviously, Luca being my own, I think that was a game for him. It was going to be a make or break. He was either going to sink or swim. And for 25 minutes, he was the best player on the park. Simeon, I think, just gone from strength to strength. So for me, them two games really stick out in my mind. Again, Weston-super-Mare, to do that to Weston-super-Mare was exceptional. Gosport, to beat them 2-1, that should have been 5 and 6. To beat Merthyr after the 20 minutes that Merthyr absolutely battered us was, I've got to be honest, there's 5 or 6 games there that I can really say that they're really good games, and games that I thoroughly enjoyed. As I say, I thought the second half performance at Dorchester, the travelling fans, everything kind of clicked that day, and that was very, very special for me, that one.
And the third and final goal that afternoon was, I think, my favourite goal of the season. just because of the quality of play that led to the finish.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I said, I keep saying it in terms of Luca and Simeon. I think we've got two players there that can really kick on. The one thing I'm probably like my dad with Luca, I'm very, very hard on him. And he doesn't have an easy ride, and he wouldn't be in my squad if I didn't feel he was good enough. But it's for everyone else to see. So to come on and make that goal like he done, and Sean had a really tough game against the fullback that day. So to come on and do that, as I say, and then create a goal like that, and Simeon to knock it in at the back post, for me, that was probably my happiest moment as the manager because of the goal. I think probably because Luca was involved, and Simeon, as I say, young 18-year-old fullback who, I remember Joe Howe going up to him after the game and saying what a player he is. And the team just come together, and it really did click. And it was a very, very good performance. And, as I say, I'm just gutted that it's obviously ended, because I do feel that we really would have kicked on for the rest of the season now.
So here we are in this strange position in April, beginning of April, really, when we're talking. The sun's out. We should have been playing this afternoon as we're recording this. Your thoughts? It was obvious that the season probably couldn't end, but I think there's been 100 clubs now complaining the way that the league have just said, right, that's it, everything's expunged, there's no relegation, no promotion, it's just keep the status quo. How do you feel about everything with regard to that?
I mean, I've done an interview the other day, and I'm very, very much, and it really is about opinions, and no one's opinion is wrong. At the end of the day, it's an opinion, and my opinion is that the good clubs have been punished, and the teams that haven't performed this year have been rewarded. And I think I've seen today on Sky Sports News that if the cricket season's got 10 games left, and then in 10 games you've got 10 days of rain, the cricket league finishes how it is, no matter how many games you've played or you haven't played. At the end of the day, for me, it should have been a points per game, or it should have been the league as is. That's my opinion on it. We've played over 3/4 of the season. Teams have spent an awful lot of money to go up. I think it will affect a lot of teams what's happened. And I think it's really harsh to punish the teams that have done so well this year. And listen, don't get me wrong, the likes of Hayes and Hendon have really kicked on and had a chance. And I feel for teams like that. But I feel for James at Chesham and Muzza. I feel for the Truro guy, because he was a lovely fella that done so well. You look at the Central League, and the teams that have not done so well this year, it's an opportunity for them now to really kick on. Look at the size of Dorchester and what a big club they are. They can really kick on now. And I just feel that it wasn't right. The league below, I spoke to Bobby Wilkinson this morning, and the Bracknell manager, and he firmly believed he was going to go and win it. The Ware manager, they were top at the time. They've all been punished for having really good seasons, and it doesn't sit right with me. It really doesn't. I feel that it should have been points per game, or it should have been done as is now, league standing stay. But to void a season, it is very, very disappointing. But not only to void a season, and your red and yellow card stand. You can't have one rule for one and one for another. It should have been voided. Everything's voided, or, as I say, points per game and or league positions as are. I think that's the only fair way to do it for me. Voided doesn't sit right. And as I say, very good clubs have been punished, and the clubs that haven't had good seasons have been rewarded. You look at the stress that we've had as our football club this year. James has lost his job early, whether it's right or wrong. If this was going to be voided, then the less stress, the better. I put myself through severe stress over Christmas trying to win games, and no one knew that this was coming at the end of the day. And it's a terrible, terrible thing. We're losing hundreds of people a day, and I totally get that. And it's an awful thing that's happening. But at the same time, we are allowed an opinion, and my opinion is that the league should have stood, or points per game should have been introduced.
Given what's happening now, and I suppose we're in a slightly more fortunate position than other clubs, because we played significantly more games at home, so we obviously got some more income coming through the gate. But given where the country is going to be economically when this is all over, whenever it's all over, could you see all the non-league clubs around surviving to start whenever next season might start, or do you think there'll be a number of casualties, and that the whole makeup of the leagues will be somewhat different to what it has been?
I think that we'll see big changes. I think financially, that budgets will come down an awful lot. I think some clubs that are not paying out loads of money will struggle. I think clubs that have been paying loads of money will have to significantly come down and be on par with a lot more clubs. And I do believe we'll lose some clubs. I really do. I've seen that, we voided the season, but they're going to try and change the leagues. Well, how can you change the leagues? What's going to be different from last year? This is what I'm saying. What about clubs that were reliant on going up? What about clubs that are, I'll use Blackfield and Langley for an example. I know they're struggling with their ground. What's going to happen there if they don't get their ground upgraded? Will they get demoted? Will they get thrown out of the league? Does the league become shorter? It all becomes a real big mess. And unfortunately, like you say, I believe you look at the likes of Paul and Hartley and teams like that, they've lost an awful lot of fixtures this year at home. And that is a lot of money to try and make up. And, are they going to be able to pay the money that they've been paying? Are they going to really struggle? I see Yate put a tweet out that's saying that they're financially really in a bad place, that they're asking supporters to try and help. The list is going to go on and we could really see a big change into non-league football and how it pans out. Do I think the wages will come down for players? Yeah, I do. I think now that we'll all be on a very much a level par, because there ain't going to be the money that there has been. And so hopefully, we all become clubs that people will look at now, not just for money reasons, for wanting to just go to that club because it's the right club and it's good people in charge of the club. But, I do see that it's going to have a real knock-on effect. I think you'll see that some clubs will go top-heavy early on and try and get a good FA Cup run. Can the FA Cup run? If the season don't start till September and the Premier League doesn't start till October, November, is that going to work? We just don't know where we are. And, as I say, it's terrible times and football does need to take a back seat. But at the same time, we do have to look and prepare for the future.
So you're saying football takes a back seat, and that's, I guess, been an extra double whammy for you, because obviously there's no work as far as Hendon are concerned, and the academies, obviously the academy can't run either at the moment. So what are you doing right now?
It's tough. It's really tough. I lost my job. I'm full time at Stevenage in terms of my college scheme that I helped run there, with the St Albans assistant Chris Winton. And I'm not working there at the moment. I'm not running the football club, and I'm not working at Hendon. So all I can do is sit tight and wait and stay healthy. I have to be careful because Faye suffered from double pneumonia before. I'm asthmatic, so we really have to take care in the house and just look after each other. And we're following the guidelines. At the same time, as I said, mentally I have to make sure that I'm on point, because I do suffer at times. So I'm just trying to stay healthy, stay fit, walk the dogs, get out as much as we can in terms of our exercise a day, and spend some time with Betty. And hopefully, this will pass, and by June, July time, we'll be able to plan for the season and have a pre-season organised and get back to what we love doing. The one thing this has made me realise is football isn't the be all and end all like I make it out to be at times, and at times I take things very, very personally. It's making me realise that life is very short, but I do miss it. Today I really miss it. Today's the first day where I feel like we could be warming up now, we could be getting ready for a home game, and that's sad, and I do miss it today, and hopefully we'll be back soon. But at the moment it's just a case of staying fit, staying healthy, and waiting and hoping that we can get back to work and get back to doing what we enjoy very, very quickly.
So I suppose, just to wrap up, Lee, there's no football, and that's a massive disappointment, but you've kept fit, and I've heard that you've been enhancing your remarkable seeing skills over the last few months. So perhaps as we wrap this up, you might like to give us a little rendition of something.
I've got really bad throat at the moment, so I can't sing. But what I'll do is, if we have a good season next year and we can get in them playoffs, then maybe I'll sing at the end of the season, for everyone. But as I say, I want to again go on record just to say that how welcome that me and the family have felt since coming to the football club. I think the support has been second to none. I think we've grown on the crowd. I want to try and bring exciting football back to the club again next year. We're trying to keep hold of what we've got. As I say, no one knows where we're going to be financially, and that's not just us, that's every club in the country, I'd assume. you know, and we just got to hope that again this passes and we can all be back and playing football and be at Silver Jubilee, ready, raring to go and start winning some football matches.
Brilliant, lovely, Lee. Thank you so much. That was great. Thank you.
No problem at all, mate. Thank you.